it doesn't.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a teacher, tarot oracle card reader, and I am a singer and guitarist in the rock band Red Treasure, and I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking, and it transforms their lives. And I am in San Diego, California.
We want to thank you so much for listening and watching. At this time, we are posting a brand new episode every Monday morning. We really appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast, liking us, following us, subscribing to us, leaving us a comment, and writing us a review. All of that helps other people find us. Each week, we start our discussion from a different jumping off point, and this week we are going to start off talking about something that you, Stephanie, brought up in our friend time discussion right before we came on, where we were talking about plans, and I was remembering that I think episode like 2 or 3 of season 1, we talked about goals and how do goals work or not work with the law of attraction, the art of allowing. And you had mentioned that you listened to an Abraham Hicks workshop recently that talked about that.
Well, it wasn't so much about plans. It was more about
Just
Esther
being happy all the time.
yeah, Esther she had to work really hard to feel good because what was going on around her could have made her feel bad, and she didn't want to. And so she was doing her hardest to feel good every day, and it had built momentum. And so, weeks had passed and she was just feeling really good every day. And then this really miraculous thing occurred, and it wasn't until after this miraculous thing occurred that she realized that it was her really making a conscious effort to feel good every day, that momentum had built, and law of attraction was responding to her energy and vibration. And so this she allowed in this incredible thing. And then Abraham said, and that's the way you're supposed to live every day, meaning you just feel good and then do the next whatever you feel inspired to do or whatever. And I remember thinking, oh my God, how cool would that be to be able to live like that every day, of just being, my job is to feel good and then do whatever I feel like in the next moment. And so then you were talking about the D&D trailer where they're talking about plans. and
Yes, the trailer for the new feature film of Dungeons and Dragons with Chris Pine and Hugh Grant and others, in which there is a joke about plans and making plans.
yeah, and so, well, and I think because this was something I'd written down because I read it the other day and was like, oh, that is so good. And I think it kind of fits with this about the planning and then just living life, as it comes up, as we create it. And it was basically, it doesn't matter what other people are doing and thinking. The only thing that has any effect on us is how I'm thinking and feeling, how you're thinking and feeling. That affects our lives, really, because we're the creator of our own lives. And so how I think, how I feel, how you think, how you feel, what you do it has the biggest impact on our
Mm.
lives. Like leaving everyone else out of the equation, which often it's hard for us to do,
Mm.
but knowing that I only feel the way I do because of what I'm thinking about, and therefore how I'm feeling, because the thought
Mm.
provokes an emotion, right? And so it's like, let's take our power back.
Mm.
And what is it how do I want to feel? How do I want to think about this situation? Um, and
So
there,
for people that are new to the law of attraction and the art of allowing, I mean, one thing I could imagine being like sort of having trouble understanding that is, well, I don't like doing my laundry, so does that mean I stop doing my laundry? Like, I don't like cleaning my house, does that mean I stop cleaning my house? Like,
well, like
come,
there's
come on, Stephanie, I got to do stuff that I don't like.
well, okay, so there's so many options here, right? One is you could hire someone to clean your house.
Mm.
If you can't afford to pay someone to clean your house, if there's a service that you have, maybe you can trade services with that person for what you do, and they can, clean your house, and so you have a trade going, which is what we did many many years ago. Before we had currency, we were trading things back and forth. The other thing you can do, and I learned this from Tony Robbins, he calls it chunking, and it's where you do something that you don't really like or want to do with something that you do like to do, which for me it was like I love listening to music and dancing and singing, and so while I would be vacuuming, I would be like playing loud music, or while I was cleaning, I would play music. So that's, you can make it a little less miserable or a little more enjoyable by doing something that you like to do. Or you
Personally,
can
I really like watching college football highlights while I do my dishes.
see,
That works really well.
ta-da, see, right. I find that when I'm angry and upset about something, that is when I feel inspired to like scrub and clean, which doesn't happen that often because I'm not usually angry or upset. And then the other thing you can do is if you know someone or ask around, because I hear people, they're like, I love to clean. And I'm like, you can come to my house and have a
Yeah,
great time and we'll both be happy.
yeah.
So there's so many, and those are just four things that I thought of in my little human brain that's very limited in thinking, and the universe has like 100 things that are absolutely possible at any given moment.
I think one thing that I don't think about a lot, but is really true for me, is that a lot of the things that I say I don't enjoy. I mean, I think there are things, Abraham also talks about, like, we're not meant to love everything. We're meant to, like,
No, we need to have the contrast.
yeah,
The
that
yin and the yang, however you want to think of
kind of
it.
one of the cool things of the universe is you go around and there are things you like and things you don't like, and you pick the things you like and you can let go of the things you don't like. But I think, like, in terms of activities, just to talk about that, like, a lot of the things that I say I don't like to do is they have, like, a history with them, of programming, of beliefs, of thoughts. And
Sure.
one example is, and I know my sister Kelly, who's been on the podcast many times, would back me up on this. Like, she and I both have a lot of trouble with, or I shouldn't say we have trouble that we don't enjoy, or historically have not enjoyed, housework and cooking. And we both know, because we've both done therapy and, examined our past and everything, that, our mother, God bless her, also really didn't enjoy housework or cooking. I think the more I learn about my parents' past as an adult, I sort of understand a little bit more. I think she was overwhelmed a lot. I think a lot was expected of her.
I don't think
But
any mother can relate to what you're saying right now. Like,
I'm sure not.
that's so far-fetched from
Like, oh, everything's
the
fine.
average mother experience. So they're probably, I'm sorry right now, all of you moms, I can't relate to what Colin's talking about feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm being extremely sarcastic right now
That's a fair point.
for
That's a
those
fair point.
who don't understand sarcasm.
But yeah, but she would complain a lot, understandably. Like, I'm not criticizing my mother for complaining, but she would complain audibly a lot, verbally, as she did the house cleaning, as she cooked. She complained especially a lot to my sister and I when we were very young about how much she felt like it was very difficult to come up with a different meal every night that everybody was going to like, that could be made in the right amount of time and all that kind of stuff. And so I think Kelly and I have realized, like, oh, we have these, like, recordings of our mother in our mind
Programming.
that when we go to the kitchen, it's like, ugh, I
That
really
tape,
don't enjoy.
it's like the brain goes, tape 2, track 3.
Yeah. So I think sometimes part of the solution may be, I mean, it's different for every person, and I think different activities would be different for different people. Because like you say, I know people who love cleaning. Some people hate yard work, and some people love yard work. It's like some people can't stand gardening, and some people love gardening. So it's not the same for everybody. But I do feel like if there's something you have to do and you don't enjoy it, I think it is possible to like write a new story and think new thoughts around it.
Absolutely,
Yeah, like
absolutely.
reset.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people have partners or mates who love to cook, and so
Yeah,
it's like a win-win situation.
currently looking for one of
I'm so
those.
excited for
Again,
you.
I should say.
I'm so excited for you that you now have that in your life. Congratulations for attracting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
Yeah, and I don't mean to say, like, I think your point is a larger point about emotional state. It's not just activities, but I could definitely, when we say, you and I, have studied the law of attraction and art of allowing and watched the film The Secret and listened to Abraham Hicks and long enough so that when you say, you really the point of life is to feel good all day long, like that,
oh,
that's
but
a good
no, I'm not.
reminder.
Yeah, and that was even like a bit stretching it because we're not. Even Abraham says we're not going to feel happy 24/7.
Right.
I think their opinion about that is that's where we came from, and that's where
Yeah.
we'll go back to. Like that is what that realm is like. 24/7
Yeah.
joy, but we come here to experience all of it, the contrast and the
Yeah.
that whole the kitchen, as we say, that has things we don't want and things that we do, and it's just like leave those things we don't want because you like I do you like liver?
No.
Okay.
No. No.
Well,
No. No. No.
maybe there's someone listening who loves liver. So if we got rid of liver, because I don't like
I doubt
liver,
that.
I know there are people who like liver.
My,
Well, my mom, my
my
stepdad, and my mom
grandmother.
did.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
grandmother
yeah,
loved
because
it.
they made it for us and they loved it. And I'm like, oh. Anyways, so yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my God,
Grossed
Collin
me
just made a face. And I agree with that response to liver. Like that, if I can make that face, I made a face too, but yours was perfect. To give my opinion about the taste of liver. But if we got rid of liver because you and I and a handful of other people don't like it, then the people who do love it would be
Right.
really sad. And
Right.
vice versa. If there was something that we really love, but there was something that and other people, like 50% of the population didn't like it and they got rid of it, oh, that would really deplete, part of our joy life experience. So we need it all. But as Abraham says, is like, you just let it go. You don't even think about it again, right? You don't go back to the table and go, I hate liver. Well, some of us do, right? But, we can just go on and enjoy what's in front of us, that delicious pork chop and mashed potato, whatever it may be, and focus on that and think about something else that feels good.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think there are times where, at least for myself, I get so self-centered or self-focused that I forget that, like, yeah, there's always going to be lots of stuff in the universe that is not designed to appeal to me, and I'm going to have a reaction of like, that's not my thing, or I don't dig that. But a lot of that stuff is for other people. Like, it has to be out in the world because other people enjoy it or like that thing or whatever, and for it to be in the world for them, it has to, I'm going to occasionally bump into it. I'm not going to only, see things that I like 24/7, 365. The other thing that came out of what you were sharing about earlier for me was the whole, I was thinking about this on my drive back home a couple nights ago because I had, I had arranged an online date with someone, and I think I had a bad feeling in my intuition about it when I made the date, but not a big one. It was just like is this? And sometimes that's easy for me to confuse with fear, and I try not to give in to fear. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah. But I was driving to this date, and I had agreed to drive to where the person supposedly lived, and I won't go into details, but like I got some text messages from her that were super fishy, like super weird, like you just wouldn't, a normal person wouldn't, things that just in a normal, healthy, first online date would not be texted to someone. And I can be such an over accommodator sometimes, sometimes it's really challenging for me if somebody's saying, well, I want to change the plan, and you're going to be inconvenienced a little bit, but you'll be helping me by like whatever you're doing that's inconveniencing you. I'm very susceptible to going along with it. It's kind of how I was brought up. Is like, oh, make accommodation for others. Make their life easier. But
Is that term codependent?
Well, among others, yes.
If we were to put a label on that practice, okay.
Yes, it's codependence. Yes.
Okay.
So I get these text messages, and then my intuition is ringing loud as a bell, and it's really.
So what did you do? Like
I called you actually, and you didn't pick up.
Oh, is that what that call was? I saw the missed call later, and then I thought, because I was busy, and I thought, if it was important, he'd leave a voicemail or he'd text me.
Well, the thing is like, as soon as it was one of those things where like, I called you because I'm like, I was aware in my mind that I was having trouble listening and respecting my own intuition.
Okay.
And I know that you and I have that conversation all the time, so like, as soon as I heard your voice, I would, I felt like then I would be able to listen to it. But as soon as you didn't pick up and I hung up, I was like, well, Stephanie would just tell me to listen to my intuition. Like, so I don't really need to talk to her. I can just do what she would recommend anyway. I know what she would say. But so I basically texted this person and said, I'm very sorry. I did the whole, like, this is all me, nothing to do with you. But this isn't going to work for me, and I apologize. I'm going to have to.
Oh, dude, that is so beautiful.
But I was driving back on the 405
Wait a minute. Let's just pause for a moment and celebrate. You did it, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, bravo. Yeah.
Just because that's something I know people.
That is a big ass deal. I just want to acknowledge you. Like, I applaud you listening to your gut intuition.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was speaking loudly to me. And you were like, all right, right on. And then reaching out for help, like support. And then I love what you did. I was like, well, what would Steph say? Like, and then you're like, okay.
Well, I knew exactly what you would say. You'd be like, no, don't listen to your, hey, Collin, I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Don't listen to your intuition. I knew that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is probably true for a lot of people, not just me, but like there are scenarios where I find it very easy to listen to my intuition, and there are scenarios like that for me are particularly challenging because I'm
a little more triggering.
I'm going to be disappointing someone potentially or something like that. Yeah. I know people that are just like, the moment something doesn't work for them, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. It's very easy for them. But yeah. So I was proud of myself, but when I was driving back on the 405 to get home, I was thinking like, okay, so I attracted that because I know about the law of attraction, I know the art of allowing, but I know I didn't like visualize that. It was such a wacky scenario of me, because the other thing is it just happened to be like horrible traffic getting down there. It was like, it took me almost 2 hours to get to that other place.
Oh, shoot.
It was just, but that's,
I mean. You were 2 hours in on a driving. Wow. Yeah. That is a huge.
But the thing is, like, the weird text messages came right in the last 15 minutes of that.
No, but I'm saying that you were willing to drive for 2 hours to meet someone.
That's not a big deal in Los Angeles. I understand San Diego it is.
It is in most places. It's not just...
It's less of a big deal in Los Angeles.
Okay, I was going to say, it's a big deal. Like, everyone listening, unless they live in LA, as you say, would be like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'd be like, no.
Well, again, it's time of day. I mean, that's one thing about Los Angeles. It's like, the distance would have been, I mean, if it had been maybe at 7 o'clock at night that I started, it might have been like less than an hour.
Okay. That's still a long time. But anyways, I get it. It's LA. Okay.
I mean, one time it took me 4 hours to go 12 miles. That's how we live here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But when I was driving back on the 405, I was thinking like, so I know I attracted that sort of scenario, but I know that I didn't visualize the specific way that played out. Like I don't recall at least thinking about getting weird text messages. Like I'm just driving back.
Yeah, but think about it. We don't have to visual. It's more like the energy of.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
what I was thinking was, which was related, sorry to bring it all back to what you were saying before, is like, I was like, I can see how people think that life happens to them. Because that
yeah,
felt like,
it was
that
happening
whole
to you. Yeah,
story felt
sure.
like
Oh,
this
heck
is
yeah.
happening to me.
Yeah,
But I was like, yeah, but I must have, again, yeah, I didn't visualize the specific order or the circumstances,
yeah.
but I attracted that scenario, and there was lots of really good things that came out of it. I mean, I think it was, especially like telling it in hindsight now, it's like that's an area I need to work better. Like I need to be less accommodating in sort of situations like that. So it could be that I just want,
That
my vibration.
and the win of that you when you listened to one, you listened to your gut when it was like
Yeah,
screaming at you. So
yeah,
that was a huge win.
yeah,
And two, that you were able to say no in a very loving way instead of going off on her, right?
yeah,
But in a really
yeah,
loving, respectful adult way to say, yeah, I'm really sorry, but this isn't going to work for me.
yeah,
That was another win too.
yeah.
So there were a lot of, and sometimes not getting what we want, but then there's all these other gifts in it of seeing like the growth, being given an opportunity to stand up for ourselves, being you were able to practice a new muscle of you saying no, all these things. Like sometimes that is even sweeter than like eventually what you want's going to come.
Well, I think, and the other thing too, I was thinking about is because you've mentioned before, part of the joy of life, potential joy and potential fun of life, is surprise. So that's my understanding is that's kind of, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but that's why the hows, how things are going to happen, the exact order things are going to happen, is quite often kept from us. I mean, if
You're
I have a
right. That's
vibration,
really sweet.
yeah, because I mean, I couldn't have planned, and that's what I was thinking when I was driving back home. I was like, if somebody who didn't know about the law of attraction, like, listened to me tell this story of what just happened and said, "Yeah, life happens to you," it would be tough to make the argument that, well, no, this is still what I attracted it. But it's just that I
I
did
like that voice.
I did attract it, but it's just that the specific order of what needed to happen,
Or
and
the specific circumstances,
yeah,
yeah.
the other thing was that uh, as I was driving home, I was kind of like, ever since COVID started, I need to get out of the house more often. I've
Thank
become even more of a homebody
you.
during the COVID era, and I was like, I was driving home. Oh, also my car needed to be desperately washed. It was looking absolutely filthy, and
Look, that's the way higher power got you out of the house.
exactly. And I mean, when I turned around, I got off
Yeah.
the exit.
Oh,
Very far south of me, there was
I can run my errands now.
my low gas light was on, so I
Yeah.
was out of gas, and I needed a car wash. And where I turned around, I mean, this is very common in Los Angeles. It's not like that rare, but there was a gas station with a car wash like right
Yeah.
next to it.
Perfect.
And so I
Bing
filled my
bing.
tank,
Yeah.
and I got a
I
car
love
wash.
when that happens too. It's like, oh, this other
Yeah,
thing that I wanted didn't happen.
yeah,
However, the spirit's like, but I got you covered
yeah.
here.
So I mean, on the ride home, I was also thinking like, this was a weird trip for sure.
That sounds like
Um,
drugs.
But I'm like, but I enjoyed myself. Like, I'm glad I got out. Oh, that was the other thing. Because it was a date, I mean, I didn't get dressed up, but, I mean, I spent, took
Yeah.
a shower and I shaved.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, that feels good too. Even if I'm not going to meet anybody, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I look much
Yeah.
better than I do on Sunday mornings when we record the podcast. Um,
And
um,
I smell good too.
the podcast listeners are
You
like,
got
what does he mean?
you got
Does he usually look disheveled on the YouTube video? Yes, every week. I think there was one week in season 2 where I was like dressed up and looked like
Oh,
really.
your hair was wet. You just like
Yeah, once, 4
anyways.
seasons, once that happened.
Well, so let's go back to this whole thing of like living in the flow of life, being able to like, oh, talk about freedom. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I need to be honest. Like a lot of my life is lived this way, and I freaking
Yeah.
love it. Um, but sometimes I feel guilty, and so
Why?
because the story is, oh, I should be
I was gonna
working
say,
more. I should be. Oh, I shouldn't. This isn't what people do. You know.
I feel like the word should in my brain is like 75% of the reason when I'm not feeling good, honestly. Like, I feel like whenever I'm free of should, which
Oh,
quite
so
often,
that is an out of alignment. When I'm out of
yeah,
alignment, I'm saying should to
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Because
that's definitely.
when I'm in the vortex, when I'm in alignment, the word should is like it's it's like a
And I
foreign
feel like that
object.
word is at least in America, that word is ever present. Like, I don't get, even if I don't say it through a day, I don't get through a day of talking to people without hearing that word all over the place. People say
And
it
you know,
all
I
the time.
really want to
I say
shudder as I was saying it, like thinking it in my
Yeah,
head, like my body just like shuddered.
yeah. It was weird
And I
watching
don't
it.
shudder when I say it during the week. I'm like, oh, you're right.
I would say
You know what?
shudder because that's like a normal thing. What you just did was kind of very unusual. Again, I'm just trying to play this up for the audio listeners. I'm just like, what did she do? I apologize. I
We
apologize.
care about you all.
Yeah.
We're just trying to cover all
I
of
mean,
our
I
bases.
can't think of a scenario in which you craft a sentence to say to somebody else or to yourself where you use the word should and good things come out of it. It's like it's almost like that word is just designed
Oh,
to
yeah, huh?
make you and or others feel bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's always implying that
You're
you're
doing it
not
wrong.
doing what you
Yeah,
there's something else other than what you're doing
yeah,
that you ought to be
right,
doing,
yeah.
you know.
So, okay, so well, then this was, I'm looking at what I wrote and I'm like, we need to come back to this, but what I was
Sorry.
bringing up right now isn't even what I wrote about this whole thing of what Abraham was saying about that's the way you're supposed to live every day is,
Yeah.
basically like happy, joyous, and free.
Yeah.
They didn't say it specifically like that, but when, you're supposed to feel good,
Yeah.
the majority of the time, and most of the time we're not. We're doing something we think we should be doing,
Yeah.
or we're not doing it and we feel guilty for it, or we have to do all these other things for other people, or we have to do these things that I've agreed to do because, you're my boss or you're my employer or you're my children or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I have a question.
Yes.
What would you do if tomorrow you could do anything you wanted to do? What would you want to do? Because that would be Monday.
I'm not sure what you mean, like the depth and breadth of that question. Like,
You had the day to do whatever
oh,
you wanted to do. Do you know what you would want to do?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah. Mondays are traditionally filled with a lot of businessy kind of things that I typically don't like. So when I think of Monday, I think of, yeah,
Okay.
it's challenging to
Okay, so
file it off.
then let me rephrase the question.
Yes.
Tomorrow is a new day,
Yes.
and you can do whatever you want to do. What would Collin want to do? What would your little boy want to do? What would your inner child want to do?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I'd want to play Dungeons and Dragons, which
Okay.
I'm doing pretty regularly these days, but it would be
Uh-huh.
nice to do that. I'd like to get outside.
And do what? Just stand outside?
Yeah, probably go to the beach. Probably go to the beach,
Oh,
take a walk on the
oh,
beach. Haven't done that in a while.
oh.
Uh,
It came to my mind because
Going on a date with somebody who doesn't send me weird text messages right before I get
Wait,
there. That'd
pause.
be great.
Okay, so let's reframe that one. So go on a date. So something positive, something that you do want. So
Yeah, go on a
go on a
date that
date and
feels
what?
good and I enjoy and the other person enjoys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And having a connection with them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. And then because we worked together for quite some time. What outside of doing this podcast, uh, I thought of when I think of your little boy, I think of throwing the baseball up in the air and catching it with your
Oh
baseball
yeah.
mitt. That's what
Yep.
I was thinking, like,
Yeah, that'd be fun too.
because that was an outside thing. I mean, you can do that in the house, but I think you did that a
Yeah.
lot when you did do that outside in the backyard.
When I had a yard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We have a front yard now. Kind of, sort of. It
A little
slopes,
bit.
right? Yeah, yeah,
I sacrificed yard for, I traded yard for floor space
yeah,
inside.
yeah.
It was a
This
good trade.
time,
It was
this
a,
time around, because
yes, this
you
time.
have in your vortex, you have like the ideal living space
Yes.
and situation. Um, I had, I told you earlier in friend time that I had a hair appointment, so I went and got a haircut this morning, and it went
Yes.
longer. And she is
For the
also,
folks listening on the audio version, your hair looks amazing.
oh, thank you, darling. Thank you, Sarah. And so, Sarah and I, we also worked together at one point. She was my client, and so we hadn't seen each other in a little while. She was super excited to see me and tell me like the latest and greatest, and vice versa. And she was telling me something that she had just gotten into, and she was super excited about, and she was learning about, and it was really great to see her excited and energetic. And I also, she shared with me about it, and then it was kind of a unusual topic, and so I had like some negative connotations about it, but she schooled me on it, and it was really great. And I remember saying to her, um, "Oh my God, you're stepping into who you really are." Like, she's practicing this thing that she loves, and I'm like, because when I first met her and some of the things she told me about herself, I was like, oh, this, like, what she's practicing now is what I thought about her then.
Mm.
And sometimes we grow into who we are, like we're already that, but we either don't believe it, or the circumstances and events haven't occurred so that it feels locked in. And so I just remember thinking, oh wow, like you're stepping in, that's who you were when I met you, but you didn't know that about yourself.
Mm.
And I thought about, there were certain things I thought about myself, like, oh my God, Steph, like there's things that you want to be or become, and you're not there yet, but you already are them. And I got super excited. I'm like, oh, that means like that's, it's something, it's inevitable. Because I
Yep.
remember, a couple decades ago, I wanted to do something that I loved to do, and I didn't know what that was. And there were people who were doing work they loved, and I was just like, it was like a unicorn, like, oh my God, and years later I discovered what it was, which was coaching. And then I was like, oh, but I want to do it. And then I did. And then I want to be good at it. And then I did, so there's all these things that when I didn't know what it was, and then when I did know what it was, I didn't think it was possible, so all these things. And so I guess what I'm saying is I was that, like all those times I was reading those personal growth and self-help books, I loved it, but I didn't know it was going to lead me to become a coach, and
Mm.
then lead me to become a really good coach. And so I just want to say that whatever you want to be, do, or have, it's already done. It's inevitable. And I think that's the other thing that a lot of us have trouble with, is believing that and accepting it as truth, for fear of, but what if I'm wrong and it doesn't happen, and then I'll be disappointed. That whole thing I saw on social media once, if you, or maybe it was Abraham that said, if you believed in your dreams half as much as you doubt them, they would come true.
Mm. Love that.
Yeah.
Great discussion.
Awesome.
And thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to have you along. Remember that right now we're posting a brand new episode every Monday morning. We truly appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast, liking us, following us, subscribing to us, leaving us a comment, and writing us a review. All of that helps other people find us. All our social media links and our email address are in the description on the YouTube video version of this down below. We wish you a happy and abundant and free-flowing week, and we look forward to you joining again on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Bye.